Okay, picking up where we left off, we're on page 523, and we're getting ready to talk about using this what-if analysis to help you, rather than manually go through and figure out the formula and convert the formula so that it works in a different location. You know, what cells have to have fixed drop anchor kind of a things. Okay, now here's the only weird part about this. The only weird part there is this top cell up here basically has to have the location of the answer. All right, so all I'm going to do is just do that. Okay? Now, that's sort of like to prime the pump, so that when we do this analysis, the computer's going to say, oh, okay, I understand. I got it. All right. Whew. Okay. Now, so to make this work, I have to grab everything to include the guy across the top. And I'm going to go to Data, and there's this thing called What If Analysis. So I click on that, and I want to use the Data Table feature. Now, yes, this, oddly enough, when we're done with this, it turns it into a data table, but that's not really what we're doing here. And it says, what is this could be done with rows or columns. We chose columns, so I don't have anything for the row inputs. I'm going to skip directly to the column. And the column basically says, which one of these things over here are you changing? Well, I'm changing B4. So I'm going to go here and put B4 in. Okay, and then you hit the button. Doing! And except for some goofy formatting down here, it has actually done what we expected it to do. Now, this was kind of sort of magical, because let me tell you, this was a lot of work. I mean, I think it was a lot of work. Maybe it wasn't to you guys. But this was kind of cool. Now, the machine basically did the same steps that we did. Now, if I click on it, I can't actually see the formula. It's all done with tables. But essentially what it did is it said, aha, because you gave it, like, you primed the pump, you put that line across the top, then I can figure out the rest. Now, the book goes into this wild tangent on what if you don't want to be able to see this value because it looks dumb. You know, this is really what I'm after. Like, the data is really this part, and this part has to be there. But what if you just wanted it to go away? Well, there's a way you can change the cell formatting of a cell to either make it completely blank or put something else in there. Now, the value is going to remain the same. Okay, now this is a little bizarre, so just bear with me. So I'm just going to go here to to format cells. I'm going to go to custom, and then in here I'm just going to get rid of all this junk that's in here. Okay, and I'm just going to type with in double quotes. I'm going to type like a column heading. In this case, how about monthly payment, and I'm using double quotes. Okay, so I have formatted the cell. Now, what is the value of the cell? Well, the value of the cell is still B6, which is 1942.86. Okay, but you can't see that. Now, I don't particularly like that, because if I was to just look at this spreadsheet, I would never ever in my wildest imagination expect that cell had a number in it. Wow. Now, I can understand how, you know, over here you'd put interest rate. And that looks pretty. Okay, I'll admit, that looks pretty. I'm just saying, man, I don't like doing things where I can't see what I'm doing. Because, trust me, if somebody else took over your spreadsheet from you, you know, you're gone for a week on leave, and somebody else came in here and said, well, I need to change this values in here, they will never, ever be able to figure it out. Whew. Okay, so let's forget about that section about how to use cell formatting to make things magical. Let's just stick with the Excel stuff, okay? All right. Okay. There's another one that's very similar to this, and that is, it's the exact same scenario, except rather than just using one variable, we're going to use two variables, and this works pretty doggone cool. Okay. Now, here, the spot, the blank spot, has to be in this little upper left-hand corner. Remember our prime the pump? was actually right above the column, okay? Except here, the prime the pump is actually this guy, okay, B7. All right, cool. Now that I've got that, I'm going to light up this, you know, basically the table, right? I'm going to go here and go to data and do what if analysis and data table. Now I actually do have both a row and a column. Okay, so the row stuff is going to be the total number of clients. Okay, so 45 to 100, this is client. And the column part is how much I'm going to charge. So that would be this guy. Whoop, sorry, I don't want to put them both in the same cell. That would be dumb. Okay, let me redo that. Okay, I think I got it right. Okay, so what this basically did is a two-dimensional kind of a table. And it basically shows, in this particular case, looks like my break-even is around 89, which looks at my break-even, my highest break-even, that don't make any sense, is 75 clients at $140 a piece. That's about the break-even. But let's do some more conditional formatting. Why? Because it's kind of cool. Now, I can do multiple things in a conditional formatting. So I want to do like less than 0. One more time. Less than 0 is going to be red. That's cool. Let's do one that says greater than, I don't know, 2,000. I just made that up. 2,000 is going to be green. And then let's do between 0 and 2,000 as yellow. Okay, so I've done conditional formatting, and it makes it easier. I mean, maybe not to you, the person who's actually doing the analysis, but it should be fairly easy for other people to come back and say, whoa, any place up here is bad, and any place over here is okay, and any place in the green is good. You know, the good old red, amber, green stuff that everyone loves. It's a good graphical way of looking at the table and say, that's bad, that's okay, and that's good. Okay. So that is, so the hardest part of doing this what if analysis using either one variable or two is figuring out where to put the prime the pump and what that means. You know, where to put it, and there's no real explanation of saying, wow, you have to put it up here in the corner. Basically, it has to be covered by the selection. Okay, so that's the only real place there was. And then, of course, the formatting thing. In this, let me show. I guess I'll show you one more formatting trick. I don't like this, but I'll show you anyway. I'm gonna go to cell formatting, and I want this one to literally go away. And so I'm just gonna go to custom and put in 3 semicolons. Ask me why. Ask me why. I don't have a clue why 3 semicolons make it blank, but it does. Okay, now so this is prettier. If I was printing this, but again, if somebody else came behind me while I was on leave and they went, well, how the heck, where is that number? And they'd click on it, they could see it. But, you know, again, this is fantastic if you're printing, okay? If you're not printing, I would never, ever hide or overlay a text over a number. No way. All right. So once again, either the one variable data table or the 2 variable data table, the hardest part is figuring out where to put the prime the pump number. Okay, cool. All right, then there's another one. Another one is goal seek. Let's say, for example, instead of doing this, I actually have a goal in mind. For example, I want to make $2,000. Okay, that's what I want to do. So instead of having me go through this entire procedure where I have rows and columns and blah, 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 I want to zero in on a particular number that I want. Okay. So over here in sales forecast, there's a way you can go in and kind of fill in the blank. Here are the goals. This is what I want. I want $25,000, 12, and whatever these numbers are. That's what I want. And so what I need to do is to be able to go in here and fill in the blanks. Okay, so they've already done the math for me. So I know this is kind of a dumb example because I could just go here and say 25,000 minus 32, but that would kind of create like a circular reference, and I don't want circular references. So I want to be able to have the machine go in here with goal seek and figure out what this number is. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go back to data and go back to what if analysis. I'm going to do goal seek, and it says, okay, the set cell is what the answer is. In this case, it's you know, what am I set? What cell is the one that's going to change? Okay, and then the to value. And now here, I don't know why, but this, you cannot use a cell reference here. I can't imagine why. So you have to type in 25,000, and then by changing what cell, by changing the quantity. Okay, so I told it here I want cell E5 to be 25,000, and by changing this, let's just hit the button. Now watch this because it'll actually change on the screen. It goes. Brrr. Now it was pretty quick, but let me do it again so you can see it. So analysis, goal seek. I'm setting that guy. This is 25,000, and by changing this guy and go. Brrr, and I'm gonna hit the OK button. Ding! And it has figured out that, you know, $781.25. I guess it's quantity, whatever. Is how to reach the goal. Okay, kind of interesting. There's a way you can go in here and set the increments. For example, for I usually don't have a quarter of a golf ball, so I tell you, let's do this again. What the hell, right? One more time. I'm gonna go to goal seek, and I'm gonna set that, and then I'm gonna go here to 2,500 by changing that value. And then one of the things you can do is you can change the step and tell it I want to step by 1. Okay, so that essentially is it. And when you're done, it's not a circular reference, right? I mean, in theory, I could go in here and say that divided by that, but then it would just get stuck. Okay, so that's goal seek. Goal seek basically says you plug in where you want it, and you only have one place you can make a change to. I mean, the formula could be massive, but you're only making changes to one variable, just like we did on that interest rate thing. We're only making one change. So it just goes through and goes and just throws numbers at it. You know, wasn't that much better than, it's not that much better than that little slider that we did. It's just the machine was doing it for us. It was just saying, pick 50. That's okay. Pick 100. Whoop, too high. How about 75? And it kind of works itself back and forth until it finds the exact number that it wants. Okay, so that's goal seek is basically just automating the first thing we did by having the machine pick numbers for us. Okay, it's kind of cool, but it only works for one variable at a time. Now the next thing they talk about on page 532 is what's called the scenario manager. And the problem is that a lot of companies, for example, here's a profit and loss thing. So some people might think that this is an optimistic kind of view, and some people might say, so you may have 3 people in your company. One person projects a different value for retail sales, another one predicts a different value for golf lessons, and so you want to be able to go through and basically get everyone's best guess and then analyze them all. Cool. But we'll do that in just a second because we're up against the 15-minute mark.